Saturday night, and I wanted to keep reading about the carnivore diet for cats. It's on a website called hair-today.com. You go over to the left and you go to their Feline Nutrition Foundation archive, and this is my second video. So I started already reading other things, and now we're going to continue. So I have never seen a serious case of I have never seen a single case of serious obesity, diabetes, urinary tract disease, or IBD. That's a IBD. Let's click on that. Irritable bowel, feline inflammatory bowel disease. Okay, let's go back. In a cat fed meat instead of commercial dry foods. Many other people have seen the same results. Further, I do not see nutritional deficiencies in cats fed properly balanced raw meat diets. I want to emphasize a point here. The incidence of these problems has not just declined on a raw meat diet, they have entirely disappeared. These results are too dramatic to ignore. Elizabeth Hodgkins, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, from Your Cat, Simple New Secrets to a Longer, Stronger Life. It is important to remove dry food from your cat's diet. This one change alone is a big step forward in improving cat nutrition and health. Dry food, be it premium prescription or natural, harms your cat's health. It consists mostly of starch and carbohydrates. It must be, as it can't be manufactured and extruded otherwise. The quality of the ingredients really doesn't matter. That's not the point. Simply that it is carb-laden and dry is enough to make it a terrible choice for cats. The carbs take the place of healthy meat-derived protein and fats that are vital for an obligate carnivore. All of these factors make dry foods detrimental to health. The problems with dry food are low moisture content, high in carbohydrates, protein from plant rather than animal sources, moisture content. Cats must have water in their food. A mouse is about 65 to 75% moisture. Cats evolved getting most of their fluid intake from the foods they ate. They don't drink a lot of water and don't have the thirst drive that dogs or humans have. As creatures that evolved in the desert, they naturally concentrate their urine. A cat getting only dry foods will drink water but will have a hard time making up for the lack of moisture in the food, leading to even more concentrated urine. This can promote feline lower urinary tract disease. Cats should be fed a diet with a moisture content that is close to what their natural prey diet would be, around 65 to 80% moisture. A raw cat food or a canned diet, both are in this range. For more information on this, see Answers What Dry Food Does to Your Cat's Pee. We'll go down that rabbit hole another time. High in carbohydrates. A cat's natural diet, usually rodents, rabbits, insects, and birds, is usually less than 2% carbohydrate. In max. Okay, you got it. Dry cat food is generally 25%. Let's see if I can show Smooshy. Smooshy, let's show you instead of the screen, and then you can just listen to me talk. Dry cat food is generally 25 to 50% carbohydrate. Not only does this excess carbohydrate promote obesity in cats, but it's also implicated in diabetes. Obesity doesn't cause diabetes, rather, obesity and diabetes appear to have the same cause: too much carbohydrate in the diet. From Lisa A. Pearson, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, M.A.K.E hearing, cats have a physiological decrease in the ability to utilize carbohydrates due to the lack of specific enzymatic, how do you say that? How do you say this? Enzymatic pathways that are present in other mammals. and they lack a salivary enzyme called amylase. Cats have no dietary need for carbohydrates, and more worrisome is the fact that too much carbohydrates can be highly detrimental to their health. Oh, hello, people. Hi, everybody. Hi. From, oh, this is an interesting name. Kimothy? Kimothy? Another good, let's see. Another good reason not to feed grain is the fact that it breaks down into sugar within the body, something a cat definitely doesn't need. Many studies link sugar consumption to illness, including cancer. Eating a high carb diet really wreaks havoc on a cat's body. Carbs are usually thought of as energy foods, but felines utilize protein and fat very efficiently for those needs. Protein from plant sources. From Lynn Thompson. In commercial cat food, a product's stated protein percentage can ignore two very important factors. How packed full of essential amino acids is that particular protein source? What is the biological value of that protein to the cat? Let's put you more in. There you go. So you're in focus. Someone asking, what's this? I was just scrolling. I'm reading about cat nutrition while Smooshy. I'm reading to Smooshy. I'm teaching her about cat nutrition and why I have to switch her to healthier food. But like all of us, we want to eat the junk food. We don't want to eat the healthy food. The biological value of the protein tells us how beneficial that protein is to our cats, how readily that protein can be utilized by the cat. In other words, the higher the biological value, the more usable it is to the cat. Chicken eggs are used as a benchmark by which all other proteins are judged. They have a biological value of 100 due to their near perfect usability. The biological value of chicken is 79. Beef is 80. The biological value of wheat is 60, and of corn is 54. It is easy to conclude that meat proteins will have a higher digestibility for cats than plant proteins. Complete proteins contain ample amounts of essential amino acids and are found in foods such as meat, fish, eggs, and poultry. Incomplete proteins do not provide all essential amino acids and are found in many foods, including legumes, grains, and vegetables. These plant proteins don't provide the essential amino acids that a cat needs, such as taurine, which comes from animal protein. Yes, she's listening. She's very happy that I'm giving her attention and reading to her. A few other reasons to avoid dry cat food. Dry foods are not good for your cat's dental health. People like to think that dry foods help clean a cat's clean a cat's teeth, but the opposite is true. According to Dr. Guillermo Diaz, the shape of the kibble is generally small in size, which makes it very difficult for a cat to chew on. So they generally swallow the whole pellet as presented. This has zero polishing effect on the surface of the teeth. Moreover, when in contact with the saliva, the high content of carbohydrates or polysaccharides in the pellet is released and adheres on the surface of the teeth, causing the first stage in the formation of tartar and periodontal disease, the formation of dental plaque. For much more on this, check out Answers: What Dry Food Does to Your Cat's Feet. I want to say feet, but I mean teeth. She's in her little cubby. She loves her cubby. Dry food, as it is initially manufactured, would be of no interest to a cat. It must be sprayed with flavorings and their accompanying odors to interest the cat in eating it. An entire industry has arisen to manufacture such sprays for this biologically inappropriate food product. Dry food can be contaminated with mold, fungus, or mycotoxins. Mycotoxins? Due to improper grain storage. As kibble is unlikely to be made from the highest quality grain, perhaps grain not fit for human consumption, it is a further concern. Dry food should never be moistened with water, as it creates an ideal soup in which, oh, interesting. It creates an ideal soup in which mycotoxins can proliferate. Well, I thought that you were supposed to add water to dry food to help rehydrate it. Isn't that interesting? Wow. Pet food recalls involving salmonella contamination are commonly for dry pet food. Dry food can be more dangerous than raw cat food because people are not cautious about handling it. With raw food for cats, safe handling and feeding practices are followed, so contamination is unlikely. And then it has all of these sources, which would be I would love to have, add to my library. That is, I thought that you're supposed to add water to kibble to help rehydrate it. Now, I have to admit, I need to look this up. What is my brain is not going to settle until I look that up. What is that? A mycotoxin is a toxic secondary metabolite produced by fungi and is capable of causing disease and death in both humans and other animals. Wow. The term mycotoxin is usually reserved for the toxic chemical product produced by fungi that readily colonize crops. Wow. Okay, that's freaking creepy. So hear that, Smoosh? I'm not supposed to add moisture. What's in your next streams? I'm looking at people's comments. Wow, there's a lot of comments. Okay, I'm gonna just keep going because there's so many comments. I can't. I'm not gonna go through those. Okay, so we already read Welcome to Feline Nutrition. We already read Beginner's Luck, Where Do I Start? We just read Bio Inappropriate, The Dangers of Dry Cat Food. And now we're going to read Answers. What exactly is an obligate carnivore? I have started Tedders. Tedders, I don't know if Tedders is this person's big old cat or if it's a little house cat. I don't know. I have started Tedders on a raw cat food diet, and I've seen a lot of improvement in his health and energy levels. When I was investigating what I should be feeding him, I kept seeing cats described as obligate carnivores. What exactly is an obligate carnivore, and how is it different from a regular carnivore? Are there other obligate carnivores besides cats? People refer to cats as obligate carnivores when they are trying to emphasize the fact that cats are a little different than many other meat-eating predators. Obligate means by necessity. The dictionary definition is 1. Restricted to one particularly characteristic mode of life. 2. Biologically essential for survival. Combining obligate with carnivore is pretty clear. Cats must eat meat. It is an absolute biological necessity. There is no such thing as a vegan cat. So, Smooshy, I adopted 2 vegan cats. One was about 4, one was about 5, but their owners didn't know their exact age. They had bad skin, they had bad eyes, they had bad teeth, and they just had all kinds of health issues. So I definitely don't believe in feeding a raw diet. I saw how it really, really impacted the health of two of your Sphinx predecessors. Those were the two Sphinx boys that made me fall in love with Sphinxies. All felids, including domestic cats, are obligate carnivores, but the cat is not alone in being a strict meat eater. Other mammals that are classed as obligate carnivores include mink, tarsiers, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, dolphins, seals, sea lions, and walruses, to name a few. Non-mammal obligate carnivores include rainbow trout, salmon, hawks, eagles, crocodilians, many snakes and lizards, and most amphibians. All of these animals became obligate carnivores as a result of their ancestral diets. Because eating a meat only diet provides some vitamins and fatty acids in their preformed state, cats and many other obligate carnivores have lost the ability to make these amino acids and vitamins in their own bodies the way herbivores or omnivores do. They don't need to since the animal they are eating have already done it for them. For example, cats require vitamin A in its preformed state, but can't make it from beta carotene the way humans or dogs or rabbits can. They have little ability to form niacin from tryptophan. Oh, yeah, tryptophan. They have a high requirement for taurine, which is found almost exclusively in animal flesh. Arginine, also found in animal flesh, is so critical to the cat that a meal without it can lead to death. Fortunately, all meat sources have plenty. Simply put, cats must eat meat to live. The digestive system of cats have also become specifically adapted to eating raw flesh. They have the shortest digestive tract compared to body size of almost any mammal. Raw prey is highly digestible, and there is no need for a long gut and the fermenting bacteria that animals that eat plants need. Cats have lost some metabolic abilities simply because they don't need them anymore. You don't need to be efficient at breaking down carbohydrates when your diet contains practically none. One of the defining characteristics of an obligate carnivore is a requirement for a high amount of protein in the diet. Cats meet their blood glucose requirements from gluconeogenesis, using protein rather than from a breakdown of carbohydrates in their diet. They are so dependent on protein that if their diet is lacking an adequate amount to supply their energy needs, they will break down their own body muscle and organs. Oh no. Oh no. All right. Next article. Feline Nutrition's Easy Homemade Cat Food Recipe. Making homemade cat food isn't hard to do at all. Anyone can. Once you make your own, you'll realize that raw food for cats isn't complicated. It helps to know how ground raw meals are made because commercially made frozen foods are created in much the same way, just on a larger scale. Taking the mystery out of what you feed your cats is important. While they benefit from the nutritionally better food, the benefit to you in terms of peace of mind shouldn't be overlooked. What does homemade raw cat food consist of? Most importantly, it is more than just meat. It is made up of meat, organs, bone, fat, egg yolks, water, and supplements. All of these ingredients are necessary to make a balanced diet for complete cat nutrition. The goal is to mimic the natural prey-based diet of cats. Notice the lack of any carbohydrate-based ingredients. These are not needed in the diet of an obligate carnivore. There are no vegan cats. Making your own raw cat food gives you the most control over what goes into your cat's food, allowing you to select the meats and supplements you use. Contrary to what many people think, homemade raw cat food meals are usually less expensive than canned diets. The supplemented ground food can be a foundation of cat nutrition. To round it out, we recommend varying the meats you feed and adding in whole meats with and without bones to provide dental benefits and psychological stimulation. Depending on your available freezer space and the number of cats you are preparing for, you should only have to make food every 2 to 4 weeks. Once you do it a few times, you'll realize how easy it is. You can easily make 15 pounds of food in about an hour and a half, including cleanup. The following is an overview of what equipment you'll need to get started, what meats and supplements you'll need, a recipe to follow, recipe variations, average costs, and some helpful hints. Please note that homemade raw cat food can have many positive health benefits even for cats with medical conditions. But if your cat is ill, you must consult a veterinarian before you change your cat's diet. This recipe may not be suitable for cats that have chronic kidney disease or other medical issues. And then they show this grinder thingy with, what's that, little kids? Newspapers. Remember those? Does anybody even get newspapers anymore? I used to read the newspaper every morning. As a kid, I'd read the funnies, the comics, but then as an adult, I'd actually read. I kind of miss getting the newspaper. Okay, here we go. Back to watching Smooshy. Grinder. You will need a grinder that can handle bones. Lower end meat grinders usually can't, so choose the most powerful grinder your budget will allow. The more powerful the grinder, the larger the bones you can grind. Also, the more powerful machines can grind much more quickly, which can make a big difference if you are making large quantities. Please note that the higher end models can be quite heavy. Grinder parts must be hand washed. Do not put them in the dishwasher. A reverse function is very useful. Keep in mind that it is frequently skin, sinew, and cartilage, not bone, that cause jams in grinders. Tip: partially freezing the meat cuts down on jams as it does chopping the bones into smaller pieces. There are many good grinders for homemade raw cat food, and then it gives you suggestions. And I'll put this link in the description so that you can see these specific suggestions. Let's go back to Smooshy. You're not in focus. You're not, there you, okay. There you are. Okay, so it's talking about different models of grinders. All right, you also need a very sharp knife. Keep your knife sharp. You are more likely to cut yourself with a dull blade than a sharp one. Poultry shears, very handy. Meat cleaver. You may not need a meat cleaver if you are starting with parts, but it is a must if you are working from a whole carcass. Set of mixing bowls, preferably stainless steel bowls. You'll need at least 3. A small one to mix the eggs and supplements, a medium one to use under the grinder outlet, and a large one that's at least 8 quarts for mixing it all up. Plastic or glass freezable containers and labels. Use freezer Ziploc type plastic bags. You know what? Did you all hear how there's, like, I think I heard there's some sort of class action lawsuit because freezer plastic bags said they don't, but they actually release microplastics into your food. So here we go. Earplugs. Grinders are loud, or you can use earbuds and listen to music. Latex or nitrile gloves. Gloves make it easier to reduce the possibility of contaminating other surfaces. Keep a few pair handy so you can don new ones rather than trying to put used ones back on. Newspaper, paper, or plastic to cover your work surface makes cleanup much easier. Kitchen scale. Some scales have a weight limit of 5 pounds. Be sure to get a kitchen scale that can handle at least 10 pounds. Large cutting board. Make sure it will fit in the dishwasher. Freezer space. You'll need to have enough space to store what you make. Meat and eggs. Try to get the best quality and the freshest meat you can. Cats may refuse meat if it's not fresh. The recipe calls for chicken hearts, which can be difficult to source. Hare Today sells them at a very good price. Hearts are often available at Asian supermarkets, so try checking ethnic food stores in your area or ask your butcher if he can get them for you. Try to use the real organs if at all possible. Hearts are a major source for taurine, an absolutely essential amino acid. If you have ample freezer space, you can also try buying in bulk direct from farms or butchers in your area. Has a picture of all these different uh, vitamins. Someone says they just started listening. We are reading to Smooshy about how to make carnivore food for kitty cats. Supplements are not optional. These supplements are required. Skipping supplements or letting your recipe drift can have serious health consequences for your cat. There are different recipes that call for slightly different supplements, but they cover the same basic needs for complete cat nutrition. What these supplements make up for is the fact that we aren't feeding cats the whole prey diet they would get in the wild. People have used recipes such as the one below for years without any deficiencies showing up. It is also a good idea to vary the meats you feed, not only for variety for your cat, but also to cover any unknown gaps in the nutrient profile of a particular meat. There may be an as yet unidentified essential micronutrient in one kind of meat and not another. The supplements are available from grocery stores that carry more than the basics, such as Whole Foods. You can find them at health food stores or online as well. These are all of the same supplements that are intended for human consumption. People and animals need the same vitamins and minerals, it's just the amounts that vary. Note, you may also use a pre-mixed supplement instead of these individual supplements. Make sure that it is intended specifically for use with raw meat and that it's not just a general nutritional supplement. Also note that most come in different versions depending on whether you are using meat with bone or meat without bone. Some brands are Al-Nutrin, TC Feline, and Better in the Raw. Please see Easy Raw Cat Food for the Busy Person for links and additional resources. Here are the supplements you'll need. Taurine. Use powdered taurine. It comes in 500 milligram capsules. You can also buy loose powder taurine online. Oh, look at all those emojis. Oh my goodness. Okay, get back in focus. There we go. Back in focus. Okay. Wild salmon oil or wild caught small fish oil. Get capsules, not a liquid in a bottle. Once opened, the liquid can go rancid quickly. It's okay to drop the whole capsule into the grinder. The gelatin capsule is edible. This oil replaces the omega acids that would usually be in the eyes and brains of the animal eaten. Do not use cod liver oil as it can be high in vitamin A, which is toxic in large amounts. Some cats don't like the taste of salmon oil. If your cat turns up her nose at it, try the small fish oil. Well, Smooshy's asking, where do you get small fish oil? Well, Smooshy, I was doing some research and there's a company that sells little tiny sardines that come from like the Great Lakes. So, anyways, vitamin E. Get the dry form in capsules. It's much easier than using the liquid capsules. If you can't find the dry form, you will need to pierce the capsules and squeeze the oil out as it is added to the liquid slurry mixture. Vitamin B complex. Get capsules with powdered content. Light salt. Make sure it contains iodine. If light salt is unavailable, use regular iodized table salt, but half the amount the recipe calls for. Interesting. Light salt. Huh. Psyllium husk powder, an optional ingredient that can be helpful when first feeding raw food for cats. This adds fiber with minimal carbohydrates. If your cats have been eating dry food for a long time, they may have lost elasticity in their bowels and may benefit from fiber in their food. Also, some cats may have constipation issues when initially fed raw food, so adding fiber in the beginning is a good idea. You can omit it later as your cats adjust to the new diet. Recipe using chicken thighs with bone. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to read this. This link will be in the description, and recipe using chicken thighs with bones. So there will be this whole recipe. Okay, so let's skip to this. Putting it all together. You're not in focus, Mushi. We gotta get you in focus. Hold on. There you go. Now you're in focus. Be organized. It will save a lot of time. Cover your work surface with paper or plastic. Set up your grinder, cutting boards, tools, supplements, and bowls. Oh, it's probably a good idea to put your four-footed helpers in another room at this point, especially if you're going to use the meat cleaver. Put your gloves on. Remove the skin from half of the chicken thighs or from all of them if your cats are chubby. Don't remove the fat. Remove the bone from 20 to 25% of the thighs. Next, weigh out what you will need. Rinse the meat with water to help remove any surface bacteria. At this point, either weigh out exactly the amount the recipe calls for and follow the amounts given in the recipe for the other ingredients, or weigh how much meat with bone you have. Either it is enter into the calculator and then use the amounts shown in the calculator for the rest of the ingredients. So I'm not going to read all the rest of this. This is just all the information as to how they really go into detail. They really, really, really enable you. Yeah, wow, look at all that. We talk about prices. Then we have partial baking method. Okay. Chicken, turkey, duck, pheasant, quail, Cornish hen, rabbit, fish. Using meat without bone. All right, so let's go down to this. Serving. Ideally, cats want their food at mouse body temperature. The best way to accomplish this is to put thawed or partially thawed food in a Ziploc type baggie. Squeeze as much air out as you can and then place the baggie in a bowl of warm water for 5 minutes or so. This warms it up without cooking it. It's best not to microwave it since this does cook it. To serve, cut off the corner of the baggie with scissors and pour or squeeze it onto their plate. Serving the food cold can cause stomach upset and your cat may throw it up. Interesting. Cats usually prefer to eat off a plate rather than a bowl. For feeding raw food, glass or metal is preferred because they won't get bacteria harboring scratches the way plastic will. A low-sided Pyrex baking dish or pie plate works out great. They are heavy enough to not move around as the cats eat, and they usually come with covers for refrigerating leftovers. Some people like to use paper plates for easier cleanup. And then it talks about how much to feed, like calculating 2 to 4% of body weight. And they have a calculator. And then for quick reference, all right, here we go. Homemade raw cat food is easy. Once you do it a few times, it gets even easier. Most people end up feeding a combination of homemade, commercially made raw meats and whole meats. This is actually preferred as variety is important, both in the types of meat and the ground recipes. This variety helps to even out the nutrients provided, including whole meat chunks, both with and without small bones, and as big as your cats will tackle, is also recommended for superior cat nutrition. Once you've made raw cat food yourself, you'll gain a better understanding of how commercial raw foods are made, as the process is nearly identical. Take a look at a visit to a raw food company for a peek at how one manufacturer does it. It's very different from processed cooked food and much simpler to put together. And yes, it's okay if Kitty wants to lick the bowl. And then it talks about the founder, it's a 501c3, and how you can shop on Amazon as part of their Amazon Smile program, where they'll get a donation if you'd like to donate to them. All right, I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, and my voice is getting really tired, and Smooshy is ready for bed. My sweet, oh, I scared you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, little princess. So let's say goodnight to everybody, sweetie pie. They can't even see you now. You're in your cubby and you're blurry. Oh, I see your face now. Look at that beautiful face. Let's see if there's any interesting comments. Holy moly. I didn't put it on the mode where it'll save comments, so all these comments are going to go away. Wow. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. Bye.